So here we have a pair of Air Jordan 14 Black Toes. This is a sneaker that I've been looking forward to this whole year, and glad to finally have a pair. I've been kind of looking at these for quite a while, and in all honesty I don't ever remember them coming out in the UK, but I was still sort of interested in picking them up. And I think the ones that released back in, I want to say 2014, I didn't have those, and I don't think I don't even recall there being coming out in the UK, in all honesty. And these were originally released in 1998, so it was a sneaker that was on the end of the, I suppose, Michael Jordan's run with the Chicago Bulls. And obviously it's made as a basketball trainer, so it's very much in line with all the other basketball trainers by the Jordan retro lineage. And they were designed by Tinker Hatfield, so all the up to sort of I think the Jordan 15, and then he had some hand in a few other models, but generally speaking his line sort of, or design line, came to an end after sort of the Jordan 15 really. And these were inspired by Michael Jordan's Ferrari, and Tinker Hatfield was really good at sort of looking at what I suppose influenced Michael Jordan, and what his interests were, and sort of trying to sort of translate that onto a sneaker. The reason why they're called, obviously the Jordan 14 is part of being in terms of the Jordan lineage anyway, but also the fact that this one in particular has 14 different Jordan Jumpman logos on it. So you've got one on the heel, which is one, and then you've got one on the medial side of the sneaker, which is two, and then you've got one on the toe cap, which is three, and then also you have on the lace loops, so 4 or 5, and then also underneath you have another one, which is 6, and I believe there's one on the inside as well, so that makes it 7. So if you put both shoes together, that equals 14, which is quite a cool thing actually, and a nice bit of detail which you normally don't see on sneakers. And also in terms of being sort of inspired by the Ferrari instance, I think when you kind of look at this sneaker, it does have that kind of sporty racing vibe to it, in terms of how it looks as well, and obviously the logo is sort of a prime example of that, but you also have like the almost like tyre tread pattern on the heel area and on the back of the heel area, and that sort of runs throughout the lower half of the sneaker as well, and the herringbone traction is quite sort of similar to a tyre pattern as well. And then also taking inspiration from a Ferrari, you have this air intake, which you can sort of see through the sneaker, but I won't be able to show you that now. But you can sort of see through the sneaker. I don't think I'm going to give you much air really, but it's more, in my opinion, for aesthetics reasons really, that's why it's there. And then also what I like is the tongue. It's kind of got that material that is kind of similar to, in a racing car you'd have like a harness strap or the seatbelt strap, and it feels sort of similar to that really. So I think that's another sort of cool touch, and just the attention to detail that I suppose Tinker Hatfield normally has on his sneakers. So with the details, it comes in a white, black, metallic silver and varsity red colour. So you can pretty much see all those colours on the sneaker. The varsity red is kind of on the heel tab and on the outsole, and the Jordan logos all over, pretty much in red. And then you got the white, obviously, that's on there, and then the metallic silver hits on the sneaker, and then the front is got this sort of nubuck material on the toe. And this has got an EVA midsole apparently, so inside the sneaker, even though the outside is quite sort of tough and more sort of harder plastic, inside it's supposed to be a bit more sort of comfortable on foot, and it's supposed to have Zoom Air units in the forefoot and also in the heel. But the one in the forefoot was supposed to be, back in the day, was an articulated Zoom Air unit from what I've understood, but now they just changed it to a standard Zoom Air unit, mainly to sort of save on cost really. And then also the fact that it's one of those sneakers that I suppose sits sort of low to the ground as well. And this has like I said, all leather and nubuck materials. So the leather on this, I feel, was of good quality. It feels quite sort of stiff to the touch, and obviously extremely pebbled, as you can sort of see here. But I actually don't mind that. I actually think it looks really cool and adds a bit of sort of contrast and different look to it. And then the front is obviously made up of this sort of nubuck material. And the price for these are £190. So with the comfort and sizing, I feel these are on the firm side. So it's one of those sneakers that is probably, on par with some of the more, I suppose, firmer side Jordan sneakers, so I'd say maybe the Jordan 6 or Jordan 7 for example, and this one feels more low to the ground compared to say the Jordan 12 and the Jordan 13. I feel like they're more cushioned and more padded, and with the 14 it seems like they've gone sort of almost sort of back to basics, where I feel like there is a bit of a contour going on in terms of how you sit on in the trainer. There's a slight sort of elevation from the heel, and then further down this feels like you've got a lot of ground feel. Obviously there's an air zoom unit in there, but also obviously in the heel as well. So it's one of those sort of sneakers that is, like I said, it's on the firm side. It's not like it's uncomfortable, but just bear in mind it is on the firm side. But I also feel like I like that kind of ground feel in all honesty, and sometimes too much cushioning is also a bad thing. And this has a great support, in my opinion, around the arch, and it's just because of the way that it's been contoured and shaped, overall, and you can sort of see that here, and it's got that sort of shape, which you don't normally see too much on trainers nowadays, but this one I think has, good support in that respect. And I think the wearing time for this is probably around sort of 2 to 5 hours. I think once it sort of softens here, you're pretty much good to go. And the reason why I say 2 to 5 hours is because this front is made up of nubuck, and it's a lot softer and a lot more flex, and that's usually where you'd have most of the sort of pinch points anyway. But up here, I think even if this takes a little bit of time to wear in, it's still not so bad, in my opinion. And I recommend going up half size if you've got like a wide foot. I went up half size, which I normally do in Jordan 14s, and for me I just feel like my toe comes to about here with sort of socks on, especially if you're sort of wearing thick socks. I think that's like enough room for me. I think if I've tried on true to size Jordan 14s, and I just feel like they're a little bit not enough room in the toe box area for me personally. But width wise, I think even if you go true to size, I felt that it's fine. It's more like because you have a wide foot, the trainer tends to expand, therefore giving you sort of less room in the front area. And because it's got a hairy bone traction, like I said earlier, this has got really great grip in my opinion. I think it works really well, and it's one of those sort of sneakers that I feel like it's, like I said, because it's low to the ground, it's very grippy as well. So with the look and style, I mean obviously it's got an OG colourway, and it's all kind of like a simple colourway as well. And like I said earlier, with these sort of Ferrari type vibes, it does look very sporty on foot, and I don't mind that. Obviously, it's one of those sort of trainers that some people may or may not like, and it's a very sort of Marmite sneaker in that respect. And I feel like it's one of those, because it's a white colour, it's probably a good sneaker to rock during sort of spring and autumn time. In my opinion, it's not a winter sneaker because of the fact that the nubuck will just get ruined in the winter. And also being a white colourway, I think it would yellow quite quickly as well with like harsh conditions. And I wouldn't say it's a summer sneaker either, because it's quite sort of thick in terms of its materials. And I feel like this is just a casual sneaker. Like I said, because it's got that sort of racing sporty vibes, I don't consider this to be in any way like a smart dressing sneaker. I have seen some Jordan 14s, and depending on the colourway, like the grey one that came out earlier in the year, that one maybe you can sort of pull off sort of smart casual, but I think, and because that has sort of different sort of materials on it, but with this one I think it's mainly casual. And it comes with like the black laces, but you could like sort of mouthful like white, grey or sail laces, and I think they would all work well. But because it's got a black tongue, I think the black laces look nice and makes it look a bit sleeker as well. So with the final thoughts, I do like the neutral colourway on this. I think it's one of those sneakers that is, sort of one of those sort of classic sneakers, and again, being an OG colourway, you can't really go wrong, and it just looks really sort of simple and really elegant. And they're quite sort of lightweight, considering it's a Jordan sneaker, and sometimes they can be quite sort of heavy, especially like basketball sneakers with a lot of cushioning in there. But this one seems to be like bare bones in terms of its structure. And I personally think they still look futuristic even to this day, and it's like 27 years on. And for me, it's one of those sneakers that I think is going to be still one of those sneakers that later on in life people sort of look at and still think it's relatively sort of modern. And in that respect, I feel like it does stand the test of time. With the cons, I think the cost. Jordans in general just are really high in terms of pricing, and if you're not an OG collector, I guess, or an OG type person, then I can understand why you'd sort of look past these and sort of give these up, because there's more of a, I suppose, nostalgia factor to them. And these particular, like these Jordan 14s, don't release very often, so that's the reason why you want to grab a pair, because they don't release them that often. So the price it is what it is, and it's too high in my opinion. But if they lowered the price, it would make it more accessible, and I feel like the tech that's in there doesn't sort of justify the price. So with the ratings, I'm going to give the look and style a 5 out of 5. To me, one of those sort of perfect sneakers and part of the Jordan lineage, and I actually feel like the Jordan 14 is one of the nicer models in the range. And the comfort, I'm going to give it a 4. It's not like it's going to be amazing, but it's not like average. You know, it's not unlike Nike Dunk, for example, and you know, very sort of average in terms of comfort. This is more still on the firm side, but I think there's enough sort of cushioning and impact protection, and also just the way the sneaker feels, especially on the upper as well. It's quite sort of nice and sort of loose fitting as well. And with the quality, I'm going to give that a 5. I think the materials on this and the overall craftsmanship, I feel, is really nice. Obviously, I'm not completely sure about the leather, but from the pressing, you know, I can feel like it feels quite sort of thick and robust, and I feel, you know, it will kind of hold up very well over time. And the pricing, I'm going to give that a 4. I think, again, like I said earlier, pricing is just too high. I would prefer to retail sort of £150, $170, and I think they're asking for a lot of money now, you know, with Jordans, and sometimes they don't justify the price. And that's why a lot of them, especially in future, I'll be sort of passing up on, because unless it's sort of like an OG colourway that I really like and a model that I really like, I probably will skip them. But overall with this one, I'm still going to give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's, like I said, one of my most anticipated sneakers of the year, and I personally really love them, and that's the reason why I give it a 5. It's more of a nostalgic trainer, but also I just like the way they look on feet, and for me, you know, the sort of Ferrari influence and the sporty vibes is just, you know, goes well with kind of how I tend to dress.